everyone. Happy National Homebuyers Month. I'm Marva Morris, your Central Jersey Realtor. Welcome back. It's day 24, and as promised, here comes the first time homebuyer frequently asked questions lightning round. Now, I get a ton of questions from buyers, which is great. Keep them coming. I'm going to answer some of the most frequently asked ones right here today. Ready? Let's go. All right. How long does it take to buy a house from start to finish? Well, it varies, but here's a ballpark. Once you go under contract, it's usually about 30 to 60 days to close. The searching phase is up to you. Some people find a home in a week, others take several months, but typically, if you started today, you might be moving in within 2 to 3 months, assuming you're pre-approved and actively looking, right? All right, next question. Do I really need 20% down? No, that is an outdated myth for first-time buyers. So as we discussed on days 6 and 7, you can buy with as little as 3 to 5% down and 0% down if you're a veteran or if you're getting a USDA loan. 20% down is great if you have it because then you have no PMI and a lower payment, but it is not required. Many first-timers put down between 3 to 10%. Also, we have those down payment assistance programs that I talked about on day 8, so don't let the 20% idea scare you off. All right, next question. What is PMI? Now, PMI stands for Private Mortgage Insurance. If you put less than 20% down on a conventional loan, you pay this monthly fee that protects the lender in case you default on the loan. Now, it might add up to a couple of extra $100 to your payment. The good news, once you've paid that 20% equity, right, or the home value rises, you can often cancel the PMI. Now, for FHA loans, they have their own mortgage insurance, and that usually lasts for the life of the loan if you only put the 3.5% down. It's just a trade-off that you have to, give in for the low down payment. So we'll factor it into your affordability. This way it is not a surprise. Okay. Next question. What if my offer is rejected or I get outbid? It happens, especially the past few years. Many buyers have lost out on a home or two before winning one. My advice, don't be discouraged, right? Think of it as part of the journey to the right house. Now, we will regroup, maybe adjust our strategy a little bit, and keep looking. Sometimes a lost house becomes a blessing when a better one comes along. And I know it doesn't feel that way at the time, but it happens. Persistence is key. All right, next question. Should I buy a house that's at the top of my budget or go lower? Now, ideally, I recommend giving yourself some cushion. Life happens. You don't want to be stressed every month. If the top of your pre-approval feels comfortable and you have stable income, okay. But if it feels like a bit of a stretch, aim a bit lower. You can always upgrade in the future. Your first home doesn't have to be your forever home. It's okay if it's a starter that fits your lifestyle for the next 5 to 7 years. All right, next question. Can I ask the seller to pay closing costs? Yes, you can. That's called a seller concession. Now, we talked about that on day 15. In your offer, we can request that the seller pay a certain amount of your closing costs. It effectively finances those costs into your loan. Now, it works best in a buyer's market or if the home has had some trouble selling. In a hot market, well, sellers usually won't do it. But if you need that help, we can try when the situation allows, right? All right, let's see. Next question. When do I get the keys? You're going to get those at closing, which I am going to be covering on day 29. Once all the documents are signed, the funds are transferred, you get the keys and the home is yours. It's usually all happens that day. Now, occasionally, there's a rent back where the seller might stay for a few extra days, but that's happens in a prior agreement. It's not last minute or anything. But that's also not super common. So unless you negotiate it, you are good to go and you get the keys. Next question. Can I back out if I change my mind? Short answer, up until you're under contract, yes. You can decide not to purchase a house. For example, you saw a house, made an offer, but before signing, right, you change your mind. You are free to walk. After you're under contract, it's binding, but you do have your contingencies. For instance, if the inspection goes poorly, you can exit with proper notice within the contingency period. Or if your loan is denied despite your good faith effort, that's the mortgage contingency. Or in New Jersey, during attorney review, you can back out for any reason. But if all the contingencies are satisfied and you simply get cold feet right before closing, it's harder because you could forfeit your deposit. So my recommendation, be pretty sure when you sign the contract and use the contingency windows. Now, if you need, to bail due to specific issues, you got to work with our attorney on that. All right, next question. How much are the realtor fees for me as a buyer? Now, back in 2024 in New Jersey, the seller typically paid the commission, which was then split between their agent and the buyer's agent. However, the laws changed in 2024. So you may be required to pay a percentage or a flat fee. Now, that is something that you're going to discuss with your realtor when you start working with them. Also, it's good to note that this is typically paid at closing, and it is included in your closing cost. And your mortgage rep will go through that too, right? All right, next question. Should I do a final walkthrough? Looking for my bell here. Absolutely. We're also going to cover that on day 29. It's your right to check the property before closing to ensure it's in its expected condition. Always do it. 99% of the time it's fine, but that 1% you catch something, maybe the seller's movers scuffed the wall badly or an appliance broke in the last week, we can address it. Whew! All right, that was a lot of Q&A, right? Now, there are just a few of the questions that I hear often. Now, if you have any others that I didn't cover, drop them in the comments or you can ask me directly. Remember, there are no dumb questions in this process. If you're thinking about it, it's valid. Now, I'm always happy to answer no matter how small or silly you think it is. Remember, I've sold over 250 homes, so there is no question that it's too silly because I should have that knowledge, right? Now, it's a big deal to buy a home, and you deserve to understand every single part of it. As always, you can call or text me at 609-468-6324 for any questions or clarifications. Also, you can reach out to me for my book on the home buying process. I will send that to you for free. Now we are in the home stretch of our 30-day series. Tomorrow for day 25, we'll discuss what happens after you move in, home maintenance and budgeting as a new homeowner. I will talk to you then. Once again, I am Marva Morris and I am your Central Jersey Realtor, moving you forward. Have an awesome and amazing day. Happy National Homebuyers Month.